We now return to what could be the final match, and it is a mirror match. Callum is taking on Gaia. And it is a literal mirror match because they had the same ride. What is this mirror? Gaia calls Grand Rope, which has the ability to get Grand Gallop into his hand. Means he's guaranteed to ride that particular unit next turn. And now draw trigger. And now Callum rides Dijet. The big difference between Gaia's deck and Callum's deck is that Callum actually does use some Dimension Robos, mostly Die Kaiser and Die Jet, because its ability he can return Die Kaiser back to the deck, and by doing that he can give his Vanguard 4,000 power, and also the ability to draw upon hit. Gaia decides not to ride. We know he has a grade 3. So apparently this is going to be a thing people do in the meta, is just not ride. We fight at G2. Rides Gallop. I think I see what Callum's overall strategy is. He's supposed to break ride Gallop after he does 2 strides, or he does a stride and flips up a stride from X Tiger, because that one doesn't care how many G units you have, it still does what it does. And then with Gallop, its Generation Break 2 is when it attacks a Vanguard, if the power is 22,000 or greater, it gets an extra drive check. So it basically gives you 3 drive checks with guard break if you get any grade 3s in the drive checks. What makes it worse is that if you have a Laurel on the field, then you can do it again, and if you got at least 1 trigger, then you still have the ability. You still have that ability. So on the first turn, you can just boost an attack, get the twin drive, get that skill off, and then on the second one, you can actually just restand, attack again, and if you had gotten at least 1 trigger, it still has 3 checks, still has the guard break, and 2 criticals. Can't forget that. Callum decides the perfect guard. Smart decision, to be honest. Heal trigger. And critical trigger. Very good decision on Callum's part to guard that, but I might not be able to guard this one. Because if he hadn't guarded that, then he would have lost one of his units, and Gaia would have gotten an extra draw. He has a grade 3 in hand, because that's not how it happened. And Callum gets the heal trigger. Very beneficial to him. He heals Die Kaiser. Now Dijet's ability is active. So what might happen, what I almost expect to see happen, is he strides to... Oh, he didn't do it. I was thinking he was striding to X Tiger and then flip up a unit so he could get his Generation Break 2 going right away. That way, for the subsequent turns after this, he'd be able to try to get um try to get his triple drive checks without using stride, which would build him hand. If he could do that, it would be good, but there's a very high chance he just can't do that right now. So he uses Die Jet, gives 4,000 to the Vanguard. Gallop did the same. Gallop also gave 4,000 to the Vanguard. And he also gave Grand Seed 4,000 power, which means its ability is activated. And as a result, perfect guard. Not a good triple check for Callum, though. 16,000. Heal trigger. Doesn't heal. Doesn't get to do anything with the power either, so it's just kind of a wasted heal trigger. Late into the game, those could become a problem. And now Gaia activates his stride once again. They both went into X-Rogue before. Now it seems like Gaia has other ideas of what he wants to bring out. Of course, it is a tough decision because he doesn't know if Callum has another grade 3 in hand. Callum also only has 4 damage. He brings out X-Falcon. X-Falcon, if its power is 45,000 when it hits, he'll be able to counterblast to discard a card. And after all of that, yeah, better to not do that. Better to not do what he was thinking. But yes, if this unit's power becomes 45,000, it's going to be 35, 40 because of that going into the soul and a draw. So basically one trigger, and if this hits, then he can counterblast to discard 1 and do a forced damage. One unit in the on Callum's field will go face down into the damage zone. And it doesn't count how much damage Callum has for it. So if this hits, and if it becomes 45,000, then it will end the game unless Callum heals. If Callum has a perfect guard, I would say use it now. But that's assuming he does have one. There's also quite a good chance that he doesn't. Callum has a really tough decision to make. One trigger. Just one trigger. And that unit becomes a threat. So let's see, 21, 31, 41, 46. 2 to pass. No triggers at all. Even if Callum had taken that attack, he wouldn't have gotten the skill off. But unfortunately for Callum, he really has to make something happen now. Now Callum activates his stride once again. Discards Grand Rope, which does count as a stride. And we see X-Tiger. 4,000 from Gallop's skill. Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, so Grand Wagon can give 4,000 power to Grand Seed. And with the skill, he's going to flip up a G unit. And it gains 4,000 power per G unit face up. 47. It now has 2 crit. Gaia doesn't have any perfect guards. And he only has one 10k out of his entire hand. If a critical trigger appears here, then Callum takes it. Gaia says he can only get up to 46k with his hand, in terms of guard. Draw trigger. Not a critical. The third check. Draw trigger. Not a critical. So this match isn't over yet. But with some special abilities. 2 draws due to Grand Seed as well as Gallop. So now one final stride attempt. But Callum has a lot of hand right now. And at this point, Gaia is going to attempt to power up his Vanguard as much as possible. Skill activated on Seed. Grand Fire skill, giving 4k to both units in the rear guard circle here. Callum takes the first attack. He couldn't afford to take the Vanguard. He was probably hoping to get a damage trigger to help its guard, but that just didn't happen. 51,000 to the Vanguard. Perfect guard. Discards Die Kaiser. And gets an unflip. Gaia gets a draw trigger. That is Grand Kung Fu. What the fuck? What the hell? Why did they do that? Why would you do that? Bushy Road, why would you do that? Even with 2 triggers, it wasn't enough. Callum's turn once again. Activating Stride. And he brings out another X-Tiger. And a Dayusha fills out his field. He can still counterblast one and know he's out of soul. It's too bad he didn't think to ride Gallop over Gallop beforehand. And then stride with that Daikaiser. He could have used the Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, given the power to Grand Chopper. Then Grand Chopper's ability could have Counterblast 1 and given 4K to Gallop and X-Tiger. $51,000 to the Vanguard, the exact same power that Gaia used on Callum. And apparently his guard is exactly 51. Not enough to deal with this. Good game. The match is over. Callum and Zane win it for Callum, Zane, Nova, and Doran. Good battle to everyone involved. Great showing of the new units. A lot of interesting things happen in this training session. And I hope everyone learned a lot from it. Really exciting to watch. See you guys next time.